I loved what you said in the beginning, that a lot of these things that maybe we point to and say these things are breaking down our culture, you're saying, oh, these are symptoms that result from an already fragmented society. Because I mean, I remember my dad used to be in the Navy, and there was one copy of The Lord of the Rings, and he had it at my house when I grew up, and there was a long list of men who were waiting to read it.
Oh, wow.
And I just think, and then he would also talk about the camaraderie on the ship and the kind of being together, and then you hear similar stories now about once the work's over, the men are sifted like, what is it? Grain? Wheat?
Yeah.
And then they are just in their own room watching Netflix.
Yeah.
So there's this isolation again.
Yeah.
And I mean, I know it's cliche, and so because it's been said 1,000 times, it may not hit as hard. But I mean, you know, you know, 1,000 lifetimes of degeneracy you could plunge yourself into with a few taps. You know, so like, the Christian people are under assault, and it's an assault that's because of the breakdown of the family, not knowing who we are. I think you even see a desire in this sort of 23andMe thing, you know, when people try to find about their ancestry, like, where did I come from? Like, we're just so desperate for tradition and
Connection.
culture because we feel like we're just floating upon the seas of time and there's nothing to ground us.
Yeah.
And it's very lonely, you know.
Yeah, very much. And the kinds of things you point to on the cell phone, the bad aspects of the cell phone that then drive greater isolation.
Yeah.
In some sense,
Right.
you can look at all of the 7 deadly sins or the 8 capital vices, whatever list you want to draw from. It's really all drawing isolation.
Talk about that.
Pride, vanity.
Can we go through them? Because you said this to me once, and immediately I'm like, you're probably just like trying to shoehorn your idea into this. And then I thought through them and I went, wow, that's exactly right. All right, so...
Yeah, pride is a superiority that distances me from other people. Vanity is really trying to exploit other people to build up myself and become self-referential.
Lust.
Lust certainly is using others and then ultimately isolating myself.
Yeah. Anger.
Gluttony, wrath, again, dividing and self-absorbed. Sloth. So not engaging with others. It's one of the most rewarding and one of the most taxing things we do, right? Engaging with others. But that acedia, I think, is I like that in Greek original. And certainly envy is trying to destroy others or to take from others in order to have things for myself. Avarice, the same thing, trying to build up my own kingdom, my own power, having to hoard things for myself. All of these things are self-referential and isolating.
Yeah.
So this is, in the monastic tradition, St. John Cassian drawing from Evagrius and passing things down ultimately to St. Benedict and into the Benedictine tradition, explaining those 8 capital vices, describes them all as demons. And again, I think that vision of demons, diabolos in Greek, is to divide, to separate, to isolate. And those are our images of hell too, right? Is total isolation, such that at the depths of it, it's frozen in Dante's Inferno, right? And everybody separated from each other. And that's what the demons, the spirits behind these 8 capital vices, are always trying to drive, that isolation. So I love that under that understanding, in the sense that then the remedy is always love. All the things that we do to overcome the division, all of the things that we do to reach out, to connect, to form communion, the things that we do to repair, the things that we do to understand. And I wonder if it's even, I think one of your great qualities is you reach out to such a variety of people, and then you connect with people. You make a space in which people can be understood and express what's happening, and you take the time to get to know them. And so you bring, why do people watch conversation, hours of conversation, right? There's something happening here that's a kind of connection that people want to be a part of. So all of these things are bringing light into the darkness, are driving out demons by love.
I've never heard anyone put it as succinctly as you have. It's really convincing to me. If we begin with that line, like Satan has desired to sift you as wheat. I never really knew what that meant, to sift as wheat, but to separate. And this idea that the 8 or 7 sins lead to separation, me from others. And then God is communion. And love is, so talk about humility maybe. Where does humility fit in trying to overcome these things that divide?
Well, I always start with, first of all, humility being truth. And so it building on the truth of who I am and who you are. And that has a way of removing some of the divisions, especially as I see the fuller truth of who you are in God's image and I as well. And we intended to be a communion of persons. But I also think in terms of the opposite of pride, the things that would create division, which is the need to hold myself over you, my opinions over you, distance you or reduce you in some ways. Humility has a way of opening and welcoming. It creates a space where the person can emerge and we can really see the person
you're no longer a threat. Your gifts are no longer a threat. Men, do you feel stuck in old idols or burdened by the pharaohs of our time? Do you know that you're capable of so much more than you're giving today? Exodus 90 is the #1 freedom app to help you become the man you were created to be. Exodus 90 is a powerful 90-day journey to freedom in Jesus Christ, and it starts on January 20th. I've met so many men from all around the world who have been blessed by Exodus 90, so download the Exodus 90 app today to join tens of thousands of men from all around the world for Exodus 90, starting January 20th, leading up to Easter Sunday. We all have pharaohs and idols in our lives, things that hold us back from being who we were created to be, things that keep us from love. It's time to leave our pharaohs and idols behind to journey to uncommon freedom in Jesus Christ. Join the men of Exodus 90 and Father Boniface Hicks, Benedictine monk and renowned spiritual director, who is the spiritual guide for Exodus 90 this year. We will establish daily habits of prayer, discipline, and brotherhood as we journey to greater freedom in Jesus Christ. So, go to exodus90.com/Matt to learn more about Exodus 90. That's exodus90.com/Matt to join tens of thousands of men from all around the world for Exodus 90, starting Monday, January 20th, and leading up to Easter Sunday.